Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. Now we're in the final stages of making our San Francisco sourdough bread. Now first I'm going to talk about bread pans. You have two sizes of bread pan. Well, they really have three now. I didn't know about the third one, but I'm just going to use the ones that we make bread with. You have 8.5 by 4.5 bread pans, and you have 9 by 5s. The 8.5 by 4.5 are 1 pound loaves, because loaves come either 1.5 pounds or they come in 1 pound loaves of bread that you buy. This one is requiring the 9 by 5 because these loaves are 1.5 pound loaves, okay? Now you're gonna need 2 of them and you're gonna need them greased, all right? I've already done that now. I forgot, no, here they are. Our toaster is fully activated and ready to make bread with. Now, if you notice, it's got a dry crust on it. I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt to this. Now, we've been adding flour and water to this recipe, okay? Now, read the recipe and then you'll understand where I'm going from. The recipe reads 1/2 cup of cold liquid culture, which is our yeast culture, which we've done. It's 6 cups of flour, 2 cups of water, and 1.5 teaspoons of salt. Now, I just added the salt. Now, you know we've had 3 rises on this, and in each rise we had used 1/2 cup of water. So, it says this recipe needs 2 cups of water, so we've used 1.5. You only need another 1/2 cup of water. You're actually taking from the recipe when you're rising it, so you have to minus that part when you're doing it. So the only thing left of the 2 cups of water is 1/2 cup of water. All right. Now what we have is, they say 6 cups of flour. Now we've had 3 rises and we have actually used 3 cups already. So minus 3 from 6, so we've only got 3 more cups of flour to add to this. If you notice, so when you're feeding this while it's rising, you're taking away from the recipe there. So let's get a cup added into here and let's start mixing this up. And no, you're not going to take the dry top off that you see. We're going to leave it and we're going to work it right in and it'll be fine. I'm going to add a cup of flour to the counter because I'm ready to bring it out and knead it. Remember how I told you, weather dictates, they always give you a ratio between flours, because if it's a damp day you take more flour, if it's a dry day you take less flour. So your flour is not an exact science when it comes to this, but we come close enough to it. this in. Now what the sourdough does when you catch these microbes, what it does is it helps the digestion system. It helps to break down minerals. See, you can take the vitamins, but there's a lot of enzymes and other things that are there naturally. And these little guys really help your digestive system a lot. This is why I use this one instead of the other one. I don't use the potato or the one-shot sourdough. I will use this one. It's the better quality of it. You see, minerals are very hard to get into our systems. And if your digestion is not up, you can't get it in. I mean, you can take them, it's gonna come right up the other end, as they say. Another thing that helps you is buttermilk and yogurt. Buttermilk, and if you make your own yogurt from your own culture, not the one you buy in the store, because for a long time, the government would not allow them to leave the cultures into the yogurt. So, then they found out later on, after they took it out, that they need it. You need these cultures in your system, and how important they are. So then they start adding it. The government and the way businesses work is they give you very little of the cultures that you really need for your system. And when I show you how to start your own yogurt culture, you'll find out that the yogurt is stronger in flavor, but you can sweeten it up and add fruit to it or whatever you want. I've had a culture going for, I think, a couple of years. No, my son killed it, so I had to redo it. He contaminated it and it wouldn't work, so I had to start another one. And they're really easy to do if you can catch them on a warm day. I might not need any more flour. It's taking its time getting in here. As you can see, my bread is getting to the point where it's not going to take much more. And I'm going to make sure it at least gets 5 cups in. This bread, as you can see, takes a little longer taking the extra flour in. This is just particles of flour. I'll just throw that in my compost. And you just pinch it in half. Come as close as you can to get it to 1/2. You take 1/2 and you're going to work it a bit. Finish working a little bit of flour on it that's on it. And you'll see that it's nice and smooth and elastic. I'll bring it up to show you. See how smooth it is? That's what you want. Then you're going to pat it out a little into a rectangle. What you do is you roll it up, pinch it. Like I said, you got to make these seams stick, okay? Tuck your ends in, make sure they're sealed. And you should look like that. And you lay it into your bread pan. You do it with the other one. It's worth the extra flouring. Because you can see a little bit on it. You're going to work it in. Pinch your ends, make sure it's sealed, or when you go to cut it stuff after it's done, I find it in pieces. Shape it, seam side down. Now, we're going to feed this, my yeast, my culture. I'll show you, but I do this every day. Even when I'm sick, I get up and do it. But how I missed those 2 days, I just got so busy. Now when you open it, you should see bubbles on the top. You should see them because that's what I've got. I stir it a bit, and I need headspace. I know this is going to rise. So here's my compost. It's going out in the yard. I'm going to take some of this and pour it out, just to prove to you that I do this. That'll give me headspace. I'm going to add this in. One. Oh. Yeah, okay. I got too many lids here for a minute. I almost lost it. I'm going to add 1/2 cup of bread flour, like I told you. And we need 3 ounces of cold water. It's actually about 2 teaspoons above the 1/3 line on your measuring cup. only reason I dry the edge off here is because I know how hard this thing is to open. That's why I'm not filling it to the top, because I know it'll open. So see, I do that every day. Now I'm going to show you a trick about cleaning dough off your rings. And then we'll get back to the bread. When you have rings on your hand and this happens, what you find is you get flour around your stones. Take an old toothbrush with some cool water. Don't let it sit. And then you get in here and you scrub your brush. Scrub your ring with an old toothbrush. Make sure that you get the dough off, because once the dough dries, believe you me, this is not easy to get off. So when I do that and I have my rings on, I sit there and I always take a toothbrush and I just scrub it gently. And that's how you get it off. Very easy. Now we're going to talk about the rising. This wild yeast, with all those microbes in it, is not a yeast that's going to rise in 1 hour. It just doesn't do this. It's going to have to rise on its own time. This is why I like it, because I can leave it and I know I can go clean and do other stuff, and I've got time for this to rise. Now, the warmer it is, the faster it's going to rise. I can tell you that right now. I learned that during the summer months. But the cold, I could wait hours. All right? So you have to wait till this bread gets 1 inch above the bread pan, okay? Because if you cook it and it's not up to that point, what happens is your bread's going to look great. Now, remember when I told you take the bread out and you turn and you tap it, and you've got to hear that hollow sound come back from it? If you don't hear it, the bread is not done. Now, these are mistakes I had made learning how to work with sourdough. I thought that it was high enough, and I cut it after I had cooled it and everything, and it was all raw in the middle. So I understood then that I have to tap sourdough to make sure you get that hollow sound back. It radiates through. If you don't hear that hollow sound, your bread is not done. This is why they recommend let it go up 1 inch above your bread pan. Once it hits there, you know it's already ready. Okay? So, I don't know how long it's going to take for this bread to rise. I'm just going to have to wait till it gets above it, and then I will bake it. I'll go ahead and give you the rest of the instructions because I'm going to be busy today. So, all right. So when when it gets above 1 inch of your bread pans, you're going to bake it in a preheated oven of 375 degrees. And you will be baking this for 40 to 45 minutes, all right? You take it out of its pan and put it on a rack on its side to cool, okay? That's all you have to do. Now, if it's too sour for you on 3 rises, you can only do 2 rises, and it'll have a milder taste. I just really like this bread very, very much. I like that taste in it, so I do that extra rising. But most of them will give you 2 12-hour rises, all right? Now, they keep on talking in this book about, what is it? Something about in a temperature proof the temperature. I don't understand this, all right? So I can't explain it to you, but they seem to fix something with a light bulb or something that holds it warm to help the bread rise faster, but it still doesn't rise in an hour, all right? Now this recipe is, now the benchmark of sourdough is, wait a minute, let me just read this, all right? The American Institute of Baking describes the San Francisco sourdough as the benchmark of which all other sourdough breads are judged. All right? So if you want a really good one, you take all these long steps and you will have that bread that you're looking for. But anyway, listen, I hope you try it. All right? Take care, and you'll see my bread when it's done. No, you probably won't, because we're going to demolish it. We really like this recipe. Anyway, take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.